Welcome to Last Day of Normal. I am talking to Cristie at Meeting Wellness. How are you?
I am doing great after a day of teaching and a chuck eye steak. I'm ready to talk about carnivore some more.
Okay. So one thing I am not good at is detailed instructions. So for people who don't know even what carnivore is, because I have invited, some people on Instagram and Facebook that maybe don't know what carnivore is, and maybe they're watching. Could you just kind of sum up what carnivore is and what we're here talking about?
Absolutely. So for me, carnivore means animal-based, meat-based eating. And it includes, any meat you want to eat, whether that's seafood, pork, chicken, beef, which is my favorite. And then if you want to incorporate some full-fat dairy, cheese and things like that, that would be up to you. But I think it's like totally personalized. And of course, eggs. You can't forget the eggs. And so for me, I incorporate all of those things, but some of them more sparingly than others. So for me, it's mostly beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, emphasis on the beef and eggs, throwing in some bacon from time to time, and then butter if I feel like I need that extra boost of fat. For example, tonight I had about a pound of chuck eye steak and I loaded those things with butter because I just felt like I wanted to. Other nights I look at that steak and whatever fat is marbled in there, it just looks good to me for whatever reason, right? Like my body kind of talks to me and tells me. And so that's what carnivore is. And for me too, also trying to keep those carbs as close to zero as possible. So I'm not going to say that I'm zero. I do still have some coffee, and I do still have my, I use Element chocolate salt. So that is sweetened with stevia, and there's a couple carbs in there or whatever. So, but that's me personally, right? Some people get rid of those things. And I think that's like a personal decision, that everybody has to make. But that's my version of carnivore and how I do it.
Okay. And so people, I'm sure, ask you mean not even fruit, not even vegetables?
Nope, not even fruit, not even vegetables. I'm not against those things from time to time. And I hear some people are doing like the fermented vegetables per Dr. Sean O'Mara's protocol and things like that. And I think that's amazing. If people want to add those things and they feel better on those things, then I think that they should. For me, fruit is going to be way too much sugar. My taste buds have changed a lot. So I know that I really haven't had any fruit other than I did have some avocado, which I think is a fruit, once since June on a burger that I got at a restaurant. So it's like a few slices of avocado, and I did eat those. But I know if I ate any other fruit, like even berries, I can imagine that they're going to taste like really, really sweet to me now. I am not interested in putting those things in my body anymore because I really started in February with keto, which I think can be great for a lot of people. But for me personally, I went years and years, like over 30 years, just completely yo-yo dieting, extremely extreme restriction, and then followed by binging, right? And so I think I damaged my metabolism pretty good. Unfortunately. And when I was on keto, although I did lose, 20 pounds, which is about all I had to lose, I didn't get any, that was it. Like that was the benefit, right? I didn't have any of the other benefits that I've gotten since going, just carnivore, just taking all the fruit and veg out.
Okay. Thank you. So this is my first interview. So I am just trying to process all the different screen things that I see. So if I look distracted, it's because I'm trying to figure all this out and listen at the same time, which is a skill.
It is a skill. You're doing great.
Thank you. So can you tell us, carnivore seems crazy. It seems crazy and against everything that we know or we know to be true.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find it? And why did you think, oh, I'm going to try that?
Well, I'm kind of different. Although actually, since starting my own YouTube channel, there's been a few people that have said the same thing. So I'm not that different, but I accidentally went carnivore It was never you know what? I see Dr. Berry is carnivore. Like a lot of people say that, right? Like they watched him go keto to carnivore and he didn't die. So they thought, let's try it, and it's Dr. Berry. Because we've watched him for all these years and we trust his opinion and what he has to say. So that's not the way it happened for me. For me, I was keto. And then, I was still watching Dr. Berry and his wife, Nisha, and a few other channels like that. And at one point I heard the term ketovore and I thought, what the heck is a ketovore? And then somebody defined it as, instead of on keto, it's 20 total carbs a day or less, which is how I started. And then I heard this ketovore term and they defined it as 10 total carbs a day or less. And I'm thinking, I think I'm that, and then I never really heard about really carnivore, or if I did, it didn't like sink into my brain that much. But it was just like, hey, I'm making a ribeye and I don't want to cook broccoli with it. Or I don't want to cook the Brussels sprouts. Like I was just like kind of lazy, or I didn't want to eat those things. I just wanted the meat. And so the next thing I know, and I don't even have like a carniversary. I know it's June, which is why I just did my 6-month update. The reason I know that is my 25th anniversary was in June, and my husband and I went to Las Vegas to celebrate. And on that trip, I know, because I remember, because it was a big deal. I was for sure carnivore by then, because I was like, I'm just eating like ribeyes and chicken wings, on this trip. And then it was after I realized like, I'm kind of eating only meat now. And then I started, okay, so that's carnivore. And then I learned about, carnivore, the benefits. And then I started to notice like all this awesome stuff was happening with my own health, which is why I didn't look back and why I didn't start back up with the squash and the, all those other vegetables and things and berries, and things that I had been incorporating, and a lot more cheese too.
You were not like just holding on and waiting. Can't wait till I can add these things back in.
No. And the reason for that is very quickly, like the one of the things I saw right away was I realized that I must have had anxiety, that I never had thought of myself as having anxiety. But after I went carnivore, at one point, my son got invited to a local amusement park called Knott's Berry Farm by a young lady. And, but I didn't know her and I didn't know her family. And I just thought, well, I don't want him to miss out on this opportunity, but also they're strangers. So I'm going to allow him to go, but only if I go too. That would have never happened, but it wasn't like a thought process until I had this whole thing planned. And I was like, I'm about to go spend a day in an amusement park full of thousands of people, which would have just sent me right off the edge. I wouldn't have wanted to do it. I would have not wanted to be in that big of a crowd. And I'm going to be with people I don't know. And my son is going to be talking to his friend. They're going to do their thing. And I'm just going to be with these parents, like just me, like my husband didn't go. Right. Like 2 strangers. And I'm going to talk to them for however many hours we're there. And I'm not worried about it. What's happening to me right now? It was pretty incredible. And I didn't have that experience, while eating keto or any of the other things or ways I had eaten prior in my life.
So, that's only been 6 months ago.
Correct. That was right in. That was right at the beginning. Right, like I noticed that right away.
So it's only been 6 months. Like, so what has changed? What's changed in your life since carnivore?
Yeah. So I'll start off with my, my thought process about food. I'm not going to say that I had an eating disorder because I never went to a doctor and got diagnosed with an eating disorder, but I probably had an unofficial eating disorder. It was very disordered eating. I was obsessed with food. I would think about food all the time. Usually I would be in some phase of restricting my food because I thought eat less, move more. So I'm going to be like the queen of eating less because I'm going to get skinny. And so all day long, I had this calorie counter just like spinning in my head, counting everything I had eaten that day up to that point, and then also planning what I was going to eat later in the day, and then recalculating it 87 times. That's my hyperbole number. It was insane. It was insane. Exhausting. But I didn't think of it that way. Like at the time, I thought I'm like on top of things and I'm handling it and I'm gonna like lose this fat. and be thin. And so I'm like doing a good job. Like I thought I was doing a good job. It was exhausting though. And it was taking up like half my mental space at all times. Even when I was doing other stuff, it'd be back there like calculating numbers and then planning for the next day. And today I ate a whole banana. So tomorrow I'm going to eat 3/4 of a banana instead. And that's going to cut off this many calories. And then my calorie count can be this many calories lower. Craziness. That went away though. And I didn't plan for it to go away.
Right? That wasn't even one of your goals.
No, it wasn't a goal. I never thought this way of thinking is not a healthy way of thinking. You need to stop it. Like that thought never occurred to me. But once I went carnivore, it's like the thing about just eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and then eat when you're hungry again. I was just able to do it. Like I wanted a ribeye or whatever, because I started with that. I'd eat the ribeye, and then it was like I literally did not think about food anymore until the end of August when I started my YouTube channel. So I always make the joke like now I only think about food because of my channel, and maybe I'm doing a cooking video or I'm planning something, a collaboration with somebody that has to do with food. But I'm not obsessing about food and like thinking about what am I going to eat for my next meal. It's like the only time I think about that is, okay, do I have meat unthawed? No. Okay, better go to the garage freezer and get something out. And that's it. So that's the extent of my food thoughts.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing and freeing, and it leaves my mind clear and free to like do other stuff, like be a mom, just little stuff like that. Right.
Work a job. Like you're a mom and you work a job and you have a channel.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like my mental bandwidth is just like, now it's like I'm on, my brain is on fiber optic now instead of, dial up or something, because I've freed up that space and cleared it out of all the, and then I used to have brain fog. Like I used to feel like I'd have to like push the fog bank aside to, wade through it to just think a clear thought and get a sentence out, and low energy and stuff like that. And now people tell me to slow down. Like I've been told, you talk too fast, you gotta slow down. You talk too much, you gotta slow down. Like I can't help it. I'm excited for life.
I just like get so amazed, like constantly amazed. What if you went to a doctor and asked him to give you those things? He'd be like, go home. There's nothing I can do. I can't help you. There's no pill. There's no treatment. There's no therapy. They can't give you those things. And we have them at our fingertips. We can go get them if we'll just try. If we'll just try something new.
Yeah. But there was one time I was at my doctor before this way of eating, and she's like, I'm 48 now, but this was a few years ago. And I think she was like in her early 50s at that time. And I said something to her about the afternoon slump, right? Like the 2 o'clock, I got to have a Diet Coke or a nap or something. Right. And she was just commiserating with me. Oh, I know what you mean. If I don't have my Diet Coke at 2 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. And I was just, and at the time I was like, I thought it was like nice, cool, cause it's like, okay, she's like normal. She's one of us or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it didn't even occur to her that, or me at the time, that is not normal. That's not last day of normal. Your channel name is so cool. Because that stuff people think is normal, and it isn't. It just isn't.
But I mean, it is normal, but we should expect more. We have a far greater inheritance, that we can live on a higher plane than where we're living right now.
Right. It's normal, but it shouldn't be normal, I guess. Right. It doesn't have to be normal.
Right. Okay. So you're a teacher, you teach 5th grade.
Yeah.
And how is that different now that you're
so I will tell you that I have tons of energy now. So I would go, and honestly, this is my 24th year teaching, and most of them have been in 5th grade, either 4th or all of them have been either 4th or 5th grade. So I've been with, 9 to 11-year-olds for more than half my life now, which is crazy to me. And, the older I got, it was just kind of like, you get good at stuff as you go on, but, it was just exhausting, and I wouldn't like look forward to being there. The day seemed like it would take it'd be forever to get to 2:19, which is the time our school day gets out. And now it's like I can run circles around them, and I did. Like when I did my sprinting challenge in September, I did we sprinted together, my class and I, and most of them beat me. Like almost all of them beat me, but they knew what I was going to do. They knew that I was going to go sprint. It was the cutest thing because they checked in with me almost every day. Like during PE time, it probably thought, oh, did you sprint today? And how did it go? And yeah, I sprinted today. And, and then at the end I said, okay, when I've sprinted every day for a month, then we're going to race again. And we did that. And I'm proud to say that I beat almost all of them. But they were like so happy for me. Like they weren't mad about it. They were like, wow. I mean, they were like pretty actually impressed. And they all had a good time. Like it was just fun. So yeah, they know that I have all this energy. I have kids in sports, and my sport was volleyball in high school. So the kids that play volleyball, they'll ask me to help them, and I do because I have the energy to. So like I'll go out and give up some of my lunchtime, work with them on some skills, or a lot of them want to play handball. That was my jam back in the day at recess when I was a kid. And so I'm like, yeah, let's play handball, So stuff like that, right? The things that the kids are going to remember. They're not going to remember that I taught them long division. Like I highly doubt it. But they are going to remember that we've sprinted together. They are going to remember that, that teacher played handball with me. And maybe someday when they're 48, wow, my 5th grade teacher was 48 and she was doing all of this, So yeah. Who knows what seeds I'm planting? They do know that I'm a carnivore. We talk about meat a lot, just as not during class time, but like if we're heading out to recess or that kind of thing. I'll ask them, so what'd you have for breakfast? Bacon and eggs? I always try to convince them to have bacon and eggs, stuff like that.
So I have a question about your kids. You've been teaching for 24 years. What are you seeing in children's physique and health and energy level and attention spans?
Yeah, that's the thing that'll take my smile right off my face. It's bad, you guys. I don't even know where to start with that question. So I'll start with what you said, attention spans. Okay. So when I first started teaching, you could assign a 5th grader, a 10-year-old, a 5-paragraph essay, and they could knock one out. They knew what that meant, and they could knock it out, and they could sit there for an hour or two and write it. And I do mean write it, okay, with a pencil. If I tried to do that anytime in the first half of the school year now, that's a lot of they don't know A, what that means, B, how to do it, C, they cannot write with a pencil for more than 2 sentences without saying that their hand hurts. This is too much writing. They're certainly not going to sit there for an hour doing any given task. It's not going to happen. You have to break it up. You have to give them some kind of brain breaks. There's even websites or YouTube things that have come out as brain breaks. That's a thing now. Because we have to give that to them or they can't focus, they can't function. The incidence of ADHD, and I have to be careful here because I'm not a doctor, so I cannot diagnose ADHD. I will say some of it diagnosed and some of it undiagnosed, but I've seen enough symptoms to know what it looks like. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. And they can't, they don't complete assignments. They don't have any kind of perseverance or stick-to-itiveness. The moving around doesn't bother me. I don't care if you got to get up and move, fine. I'll put you at a seat where you're not going to distract other people and do that. But they can't stop talking. They can't stop making noises. I had a kid a few years ago who got out of his seat every so often to crawl across the floor and bark like a dog. Hide in his jacket because he's a turtle, and that's how he spent his day. That's one example. So yeah, and I have more and more kids coming in. So it's 5th grade, and I have more and more kids coming in after a certain math assessment that we did this year. A third of my students were missing kindergarten geometry. Didn't know it. What's kindergarten geometry? Circle, square, triangle?
Oh, yeah.
Kindergarten geometry. Okay. And counting and cardinality, which means in kindergarten, that looks like one-to-one correspondence, like 1 object, 2 objects, 3 objects. Didn't have it. And I'm supposed to teach them long division, like I said a couple minutes ago.
Right.
So what do I do with that? And it's more and more and more. And then I've got most of my kids that are below grade level. I only have a handful, like I can count on one hand, the number of students that are at grade level. And I team teach with another teacher. So I do teach all the math for both classes. I have 28 students and she has 30. Mm-hmm. It's very sad.
Wait, you're team teaching like
Yeah.
50 kids?
Yeah. So what happens is we kind of treat it almost like a little bit of a middle school. So my students come in first and her students are with her, and I teach a math lesson and she teaches an ELA, English Language Arts lesson. Okay. Then we go to recess and then we flip. So like I teach her class the math lesson like that. Yeah. But there are times we have all 50 in a room or all 60 in a room, but we're both in there. We call that team time, and we do STEM projects and things like that during that time. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that there's a ton of reasons that's happening, but do you just kind of wish you could just give them all some hamburger for breakfast?
Yeah, so I wish I could take away what the school is feeding them, which is legit Lucky Charms. Oh, here's what I saw today. So they have this little, like, it's not an easel. What are those called? It's like that little, like, sign thing that looks like a letter A, stands up like not a billboard. Like, what is that thing called? Anyways,
I can't think of it. They
have one of those in the cafeteria, and I looked at it today because I was sitting there in an assembly, and it has the like food, food groups, right? From like the My Plate or whatever, and it's like protein is there, and fruits and vegetables are there, and dairy and whatever. I didn't read them all because my eyes went to protein, and I couldn't. So on the protein, what it does is it lists the items that from the meal that's being served. Thank you, Grateful Keto. A sandwich board. They have a sandwich board. So, why couldn't I think of that?
I know.
So they list the things from the meal that day that are like fall under that category. So I didn't even look. So whatever it is, I know they serve like raisins a lot. So like fruit, it'd say raisins if they were serving that, or an apple or whatever. But on the protein, it said cheesy pull-aparts. That was the protein.
What, like string cheese?
No. So bread, their cheesy pull-aparts are bread with it's like cheesy bread is what it is.
Cheese bread.
Yeah.
Which is not a protein.
How is that a protein? But that's a protein. And the kids can see that sandwich board, and that's what they're telling kids a protein is. So it's no wonder when we go to state testing, because when we go to state testing, I make a big deal about it. I go, I want you to have some protein at breakfast. What's protein? And they're like, cheesy bread. Cheesy bread. Yeah, they don't know. They really don't know. And I don't think their parents know. I do teach in a low socioeconomic area. So they're, they have economic disadvantages. But yeah, it said cheese. So now I'm going to go read that board. Like I almost took a picture of it, but I'm like, if I take a picture of it, I'm going to be tempted to post it on my channel. And if I do that, I might get in trouble.
You might.
So I didn't do it, but I'm talking about it.
Well, hopefully they're not watching.
Hopefully not.
Let's go through some of these comments so that I'm not like ignoring you and looking at it. So here we have, I'm a fellow sprinter, week 18, a world of difference. I'm so much stronger. My tendons and ligaments feel like steel cables in my legs. Okay, so sprinting. So tell us about your sprinting, and then we'll talk to A1 Meat Eater Kid.
Love it, A1 Meat Eater Kid. So what happened was when I went carnivore in June or so, I got this, after a couple of months, I was like, I have all this energy to burn. What? I got to do something with it. I can't just sit here I have energy. Just shaking with energy. I got to do something. And around that time, I had seen Dr. Sean O'Mara, his interview with Dr. Berry. And he's talking about visceral fat as this hugely important health marker. Yeah, refer to his videos. Don't ask me because I'm not a doctor, but that it's such an important health marker that a lot of people don't know about or don't think is as important or whatever. And that one of the main ways to get rid of that is sprinting. And then he talked about all the other benefits of sprinting, like on top of getting rid of the visceral fat, there's all these other benefits to sprinting. And I thought, that sounds amazing. I think in September, I'm going to do sprint challenge. And I didn't really research it, kind of like the carnivore diet. I didn't really research it. I just went out and did some sprints every day. Now later I did research it. And it turns out I actually did a pretty good job of doing them correctly. But so what I did was I just went outside onto my cul-de-sac. I live on a cul-de-sac. Early in the morning. I mean, there were people out there because at the time it was still light when I went out there because this was back in September. And I just like took off sprinting down my street. I had my Fitbit on and I would kind of time myself and I would try to vary it because I did remember him saying, like, don't just always run the exact same distance every time. Like, do some shorter ones, do some longer ones. So I would do anywhere from usually eight sprints to the around approximately to the end of my cul-de-sac. And then I would stop and breathe for a little while and then sprint back. Maybe a little shorter that time and then a little longer the next time, eight reps. And the thing that was amazing to me, and I need to go back and watch because it was a challenge and I did do little videos like every single day and it doesn't show me sprinting. Like, you're brave, girl, because you show yourself sprinting. I showed myself on day 1 and I showed myself on day 30.
Okay.
So I did do that. But what I did was I documented and then I would have these aha moments and I would like put that, like today, there was a day I realized, dummy, you're looking down. Because I think it was like subconscious. I didn't want to trip over anything. Mm-hmm. Keep your head up. So things like that, right? I had these like little sprinting epiphanies and I would, document them. I did take measurements, body measurements, and I have a scale that does, like it's a body composition mm-hmm. scale. So I did that before day 1 and after day 30. And I didn't measure all over, but I did like waist, hips, and thighs. So just those 3 measurements. Off of those 3 measurements, I lost 2 inches. Off of those 3 places, I lost 6 pounds. I gained muscle. I can't remember there's a video on my channel, but with the data, but like I gained muscle and lost fat. I lost my visceral fat score went down by 1. Now, who knows? I know those things aren't right. Like super accurate, right? But I think it can track some trends, and everything was for sure trending in the right like direction after doing that.
And you were still in the process of losing weight, right? Like you'd already lost, like you were at a stable weight, and this just occurred because of the sprinting.
Right. And I had actually before that, I had been doing a couple other things. Like I had been doing more gentle things, but like yoga, Pilates, a little bit of with like I have some like some dumbbells, like some hand weights. And I got rid of all that because I wanted to just see what would happen. Okay. I mean, the definition in my arms, like my husband made a comment, like your arms are starting to look like the chick from Terminator. I was like, what? I'll take it. I'll take that all day. Thank you. And then another thing my husband said, because he's a massage therapist and he hadn't given me, I know, it's such a.
My husband's a massage therapist.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding. Okay. I thought, because usually the response I get is, I wish my husband was a massage therapist.
That's awesome. That's funny. Okay, keep going.
Wait, sorry. So he had given me a massage, prior to sprinting. Since I had gone keto, since I had lost the 20 pounds, he had given me a massage, but before sprinting. Then I sprinted for a month, and after that, he gave me a massage, and he could not believe the amount of muscle he felt in my legs. Like, wow. He was like, none of this was, like, your legs are downright muscular. Like, I couldn't, like, my arms I could see in the mirror because I'm pear-shaped. So everything on my upper body, it's, like, obvious, but, like, my lower body, that's where I do still have some subcutaneous fat and things, that's where it is, my hips and thighs. Anyway, but, yeah, he was floored by what he felt, the difference that he felt in my legs compared to what it had been. It was a marked difference.
I think I need to schedule a massage with my husband soon to see my. So, I need to check my leg muscles, right?
That is legitimate, and I think that is good information that your subscribers need to know about.
Yes, so, yes. I definitely need that. Okay, so let's read A1 Meat Eater. Yeah, tendons and ligaments feel like steel cables in my legs. So you just said that, like your legs have crazy amounts of muscles.
Yeah. Okay.
And along with sprinting, I've been earthing and grounding, taping my mouth at night, and practicing nose breathing. And he has energy. You know what? I'm assuming that you are a boy. I don't know. Why am I assuming? I assumed boy, but I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So grounding. Do you do any grounding? Have you heard of this?
I totally heard of it, and I will tell you, I've not done it. I want to do it. We in Southern California, we are very restricted on our water, so they give us a ration, a water ration, and it's based on the number of people in your household. And there's an indoor and an outdoor amount that is at a base price, and then if you go over that, they charge you like $1 million. So we took out, like, our whole property is covered with like things that are not like lava rock and stuff. I can't go stand on it. And so for me to do it, it's okay. For me, sprinting is convenient. I go right on my street and I sprint. Like, I don't go to the park. I just do it right there. And that's me. I'm not going to go to the gym because it's too much. Like, I don't want to drive over there and all that. So yeah, I wish now that we had kept a little patch of grass.
just a little one.
1 by 1 square that I can water and go stand on it in the morning. I would have to go, it's not far, but like I would have to walk or get in my car and go a half a mile to like a park where there's, or just go steal some of my neighbor's grass and look like a weirdo and go stand on my bare feet.
I tend to do it at soccer practice. You know, like the time when I'm already out, I just take my shoes off. I'm already sitting outside. I'll just take my shoes off and just sit there.
So do you notice a different, like, do you feel anything when you do it? I keep asking people that who have grounded.
Not necessarily, but I'm still at a super healing part. I have Hashimoto's, and like thyroid patients take forever to heal. So I'm only 9 months in. I don't have the same miraculous kinds of results that you've had because I'm still like healing.
Yeah.
So I haven't noticed it so much, but I feel like if I give that up, if I don't do that, it's going to slow my healing even more. So I feel like I have to do it.
And it'll be interesting if you are able to heal from your Hashimoto's. Yeah. If you'll notice an acceleration in some of those other things.
Yeah.
Like the grounding and things like that.
Yeah. And I'm just going to have to give it a lot more time. So this is my husband, and he wants to know if your husband is carnivore as well.
Well, Nate, my husband too is a massage therapist. So there you go. You two can be friends now. So actually, no, he is not. We have had, so he's watched me diet. I mean, we've been married for 25 years. He's watched me diet for 25 years. He is that person who, when he was younger, could eat all the things and never put on an ounce. Now, as he's gotten past 40, you know, that's changed a little bit for him. But I think at the beginning he thought, well, here she goes again. He had watched me be low carb in the past, right? He'd watched me do Atkins. It wasn't the right version of Atkins. I did not read the book. I did it wrong, but whatever. He knew I was doing low carb and all of that. He didn't really care. I think he didn't pay attention. I think he stopped paying attention a long time ago because I was always doing something, right?
Yeah.
And so, but then what was different was because I learned about, there's actually a community, there's like doctors, there's people who actually know about this. And so I actually learned about the proper human diet and like the way to do it. So as of right now, he is still standard American for sure. But he did mention to me, like after the holidays, so hopefully he's going to follow through, that he wants to do some form of low carb.
Okay.
And I think right now for him, he's going to, if he does that, if he can get rid of like the sodas and the chips and the cookies and stuff and just go whole foods, even if it includes like a potato, you know what I mean? But it's like a potato. It's not a potato chip, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to see improvements. I will say, Nate, that before I went carnivore, that was, I mean, all the temptations are in the house, right? We have all the things. We have the ice cream, the chips, the popcorn, all the things. And I would have to like hold myself back. So every night I would eat dinner and I'd be like, you know, I wish I could like just go to bed right now or like glue myself to this couch so I can't get up and go to the kitchen because those things would be screaming at me to come and eat them. And now that I'm carnivore, that doesn't happen anymore. Like all that stuff's in there and I really just don't care. Like I want a picanha. I don't. That's
okay.
It.
That was another question I was going to ask you. What the heck is a picanha? I've never heard it before.
I cannot do a live stream without saying picanha. And I am now the official picanha spokesperson. Not really. I'm not affiliated in any way. But I wish there was a picanha that, you know, that I could be an affiliate. Okay. Picanha is a cut of beef. It is, you can also find it under other names like sirloin cap. But if you Google it, you can probably find there. I think there's a few other names, but I don't know what they are, especially if you're not in the US. Like I know in Canada, they call it something different. So look up picanha, has an H in there. It's Picanha, picanha. But it sounds like
A-N-H-A?
yes. Or sirloin cap. And what it is it's like the end of the sirloin. So what's on the end of that sirloin is a thick fat cap. We're talking a 1/2 inch thick fat cap on this sirloin. It comes as a small roast. So the ones I get are usually between 2 to 3 pounds. And then what I do with that is I just kind of, dry it off, take it out of the packaging, dry it off. I rub it all over with like a smoked salt, like a Redmond smoked salt, but you can just use the regular. I know a lot of people like the smoked salt, but then there's some people that don't. You could just use the regular, so whatever salt you use is fine. And then I take butter and I get that butter. I just soften that butter and I just slather that sucker like it looks yellow. Like when I'm done with it, it doesn't even look brown anymore. Like it's buttered. And then while I'm doing that, I preheat my oven to 500 degrees. And you put that picanha in that 500-degree oven for 5 minutes for each pound. And there is a video on my channel about this. Like I did the recipe. Okay. So like if you can't, like Cammie is writing it down, but if you're not writing it down or if you're just listening, say, go watch I did make a video. Anyways, yeah. It's 5 minutes for every pound. So like if it's 2 pound picanha, it's 10 minutes. The caveat to that is I did notice if you're going up to 4 pounds, do not do 20 minutes, like keep it like under 15 minutes or it'll get, for me, I mean, maybe you like it a little more done. I don't, I want a good medium rare. But what happens in that magical 10 to 15 minutes is the whole outside gets this like really nice crust that like the butter and the high heat does. Then you turn off the oven, but don't open the door. Just turn off the oven and let it sit for 2 hours. So the oven will just kind of slowly cool off. When you take it out, you don't even need oven mitts anymore. Like the meat is still warm. Like I have it in like a glass Pyrex dish to catch all the juice. You just take it out. And then the butter, the melted butter and the juice from the meat just makes this delicious, like, and the salt, this like gravy saucy stuff. And I just put it on a cutting board. You slice it up like against the grain. And oh my goodness, every slice has this like fat cap at the top. And I try to get a little bite of that in with, the other part of the meat, but it's like really tender. It doesn't require as much like, chewing and stuff as like, let's say like a ribeye. It's just, there's not any of that like tendony stuff or any of that other stuff. I don't know why. It's just the cut that it is. I don't know. Oh my gosh. It's delicious and it's not expensive. So, I mean, at least around me, it's about like right around $8 a pound.
Okay. Well, we have a butcher just in town, so we might be over at the butcher tomorrow looking for that.
Yeah. So my Walmart carries it, which is so crazy to me. I just get it there because I've never looked for it anywhere else. My mom, who's just 1 county south of me, she went to 3 Walmarts and couldn't find it, but she went to her grocery store butcher counter and asked for sirloin cap. They're like, oh yeah, we could do that for you. And they cut her 3 and then she just froze 2 of them and cooked one that day. Tip, if you go to your butcher, so Cammie, you said you're going to go to your butcher. At the butcher, at the grocery counter where she was, they said their like standard would be to trim that fat to 1/4 inch. And she said, oh no, thank you. Please just leave on all the fat. And they did. So you can, if you're at like, for me, I just get what I get because I just go and grab it. Right. But if you're getting it from a butcher, yeah, just tell them not to trim it.
Okay.
And you'll get all the fat on there. But it is like I've converted like Ellie at Nourishment Redacted. She's like, I'm on Team Picanha now. It's really good. You won't be sorry.
Yeah, no, I want to try that. That sounds really good. Okay. So from when we were talking 30 minutes ago, so teachers are really becoming babysitters.
Hi, Sandra.
And my daughter has had to have fidget toys in school. My daughter had to be on like a bouncy ball. Like she couldn't use a chair. She had a bouncy ball. So
yeah. And I don't mind that stuff as long as this doesn't become a toy. Like if they're truly using it as a tool and it doesn't become a toy, I'm good with it. The problem with that in today's schools is now you've got kids. This is not a joke, you guys, because sometimes I joke around. This is not a joke. They want to bring their emotional support stuffed animal to school. No, I'm sorry. That is a toy, and some teachers do allow it.
Right.
I don't. That's a line I'm not. Sorry, not in 5th grade. We don't do that in 5th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Sad eating seems so alien to me now. It's the poisons and everything. Tragically, the children are being poisoned and no one knows or cares. Yeah, I get that. Like everywhere I look, and Nate, my husband just rolls his eyes at me and he's like, Cammie, don't say anything. Cause I'm like, do you know how bad that is? And he just
and how much sugar is in there and what that's doing to them. Yeah, I see kids with signs of insulin resistance. I see skin tags on little kids. I never saw that 15 years ago. Never. I see it now though. And that I forget what it's called, but it's like a fancy sciencey name, but it's like that brown kind of velvety skin that kind of gets like on the neck creases. I see that a lot.
And that's insulin resistance too, right?
That's insulin resistance, yes.
Well, they say that like young kids are getting fatty liver disease.
Yes.
They're probably not getting diagnosed yet, but half your class could have fatty liver by now.
Yes.
Okay. My father was a professor at a junior college, and he said he was shocked to see how many of his students who couldn't read and write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Here's someone teasing you. You couldn't think of sandwich board because you don't eat sandwiches anymore.
Yes, I knew it. And Carnivore Brothers, you did not tell me which one you are. So now you're in timeout. I mean, you're in detention. I'm a teacher. You're in detention now because I don't know if you're Rhett or Ashley.
Cheesy bread is protein, no way.
Yeah, right? Mentor Jessica, right? Yeah, not protein.
Dr. Sean Omar is my top medical man. Yes, I love him. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably just showing everything. My hubby says sprints are giving me Michelle Obama arms.
There you go. I love that, Rhonda.
Okay. I sprint 4 to 8 sprints a day, usually barefooted on grass, which I try and do when it's not like so frozen that the grass is going to cut my feet. My body is getting strong. Weight is stable. The 7 free strategies of Dr. Mara's program are working. Good. Yes, I'm a boy. Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Meat Eater Kid, will you tell me? I'm curious to know. So, the month of September, I sprinted every single day, and I was sore every day. Like I didn't give my body a break because I had challenged myself to do it. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I've reduced that now to every other day. But do you notice eventually, because you said you sprint every day, like eventually does that kind of go away? I did take a break for a few weeks because I feel like I pulled my left quadricep muscle. It needed to heal. So I'm back now and I've been sprinting again for 2 or 3 weeks now. Just 3 to 4 days a week, like every other day. And I just started back up after like a little break. So my quadriceps are sore today, but that's just because I'm still reacclimating to the protocol. But I'm just curious because I did see somewhere on Dr. Sean O'Mara's that it is okay you can work your way up to every day. Like I didn't do that. I just jumped in and did it every day.
If I do 2 a week, I'm pretty happy, but I still have a lot of weight to lose and I don't want to hurt myself. I don't feel super fit and healthy yet. So I'm totally happy giving myself time to work up to where I want to be in the future.
Yeah, so I might work my way up to back to daily, but yeah, I'm going to work my way up. I don't want to pull that muscle again because I feel like I lost some, although when I went back out there the first day to do it again, I was like, okay, I didn't lose some of the speed that I had picked up. So that was good. But some of the muscle tone was starting to kind of go back away because I hadn't done it for a few weeks, even though I was doing push-ups and planks and other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel a little bit like I'm fangirling because I love former fat girl and I love watching her YouTube.
Hi, Nicole. I got to meet Nicole in real life, Cammie. You guys, I think something that I didn't say, I hope you're still here, Nicole. We tease each other, but we actually really love each other. And she paid for my lunch that day. I went to the bathroom and I came out expecting to pay the check and, at least my part of the check, and it was paid. And then I kind of gave her this look and she's like, you look confused. And I'm like, you just paid for my meal. It was very sweet.
Awesome.
So Nicole, thank you again. It was delicious. And we had fun.
So she's saying that she clicks and shakes her leg. And I'm sitting here like, I think there's some healthy like busyness that we all have to do.
My chair spins, so you'll see me kind of doing this, or
And I just like sitting here shaking my head. It might be kind of annoying. I'm trying to stop myself, but if I shake too hard, I just have a laptop with like the flappy lid. If I move too much, like my whole camera starts shaking.
That's funny.
Oh, Nicole wanted that tax write-off.
There's the ding. Okay, see, it wasn't me. I didn't do it that time, Nicole. I was nice. In comes Rhonda.
Okay, so my husband wants to know, are there any meat cons coming up? So that I got that answered on another live stream. Yeah. And so I hooked up with somebody who's going to tell me about the ones in Ohio, but there is one is it Kentucky? KetoCon?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting a link. I don't know if I can put a link in here. I might have to put it in the private chat, Cammie, and have you post it, but let's see if it'll do it. Okay, it looks like it did it. So lowcarbevents.com is a website that has all the local, so like you'll find KetoCon, which is now called Hack Your Health there, and I'll tell you where it is. Like it's all, those are all there for you, all the cruises. And then I think people even put like their more local things in there too.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
One shop.
Yep.
Right. We talked YouTube, so business expense.
We talked YouTube and we cracked the people up on the street when we did like a slow motion run toward each other. And there was like just perfect strangers back there just cracking up.
Well, they probably figured they're in California, so there's going to be crazy people around, right?
Yeah. Oh, you don't even want to know, Nicole. Nicole, remember that girl we saw?
All right, so here is the lowcarbevents.com if you want to look it up. All right, and hey, Cammie, I just subbed. Super cool. Thank you.
Yeah, Cammie, and I found her because of sprinting. I found you, Cammie, because of sprinting, and then of course I went and watched all your other videos because they're good. You have such a nice way about you.
Oh, thank you.
But I just thought, okay, here's another woman about my age, you know, going out there and just trying the sprinting. You know, because my sprint is someone else's jog. Like I am not fast. I think people, when I tell them I sprint, they think that I'm out there like Jackie Joyner or something.
Yeah, they think something wrong.
Right. For sure, like other people would be passing me, but it's a sprint just means your maximum. Like whatever your maximum effort is, that's sprinting.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot to get my heart rate going.
Right. So yeah, it doesn't, but I do find that my recovery time has gotten so much better, especially on the first 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Like I go to the end of my street and then it doesn't, after that first one, it doesn't take long before I'm ready to come back. Whereas before I would stand there for 2 or 3 minutes, you know, huffing and puffing before I was ready to come back. It's just a few seconds and I can turn around and go back.
Okay. So we have we should probably stick to an hour. So we have about 10 minutes. And I'm just kind of curious, like you're just a normal person, but now you have a YouTube channel. So kind of what made you think I want everyone in the world to see me?
So first of all, hi, yes, Rhonda is awesome. She's a sprinter. Sorry, I am watching the comments. I love Rhonda. Rhonda's another sprinter and she is doing amazing. Yeah, Rhonda is the first. After I started sprinting, because I just did it after seeing Dr. Sean O'Mara, and then I saw Rhonda sprinting, and I was like, "Oh, hallelujah!" And I reached out to her, and now we're buddies. But yes, and so all of us that are sprinting, it's like I want people to know, like we're not just like we're doing our fastest, right? It's not we're not just out there. We're not Olympians and stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry, YouTube channel. You didn't ask me about that anymore. Okay, my YouTube channel. Here's what happened. My sprint challenge and also putting my cat on a more, I don't feed her raw, but I went from like kibble to like tuna, you know, it's cat food and it says like tuna and fish broth on the label. Okay. That's it. Instead of like, so I was curious to see what would happen with her. Those are the first few things that I posted. And the reason I started doing that was I had seen, you know, some of Carrie from Homestead House content, and he was encouraging people several months ago, like, if you're a carnivore and you know, have any inclination, like start a YouTube channel because people need to like, it'll just spread the word. Like all these channels, it's just going to like spread out like roots, you know? And I thought that a lot of the stories I had heard were like these amazing weight loss stories were really, you know, you could see it, right? Like before losing 100 pounds, after losing 100 pounds, right? It's like obvious. Nobody's going to care about like, oh, a skinny girl got skinnier, good for her. Like nobody's gonna, I lost a whole whopping 20 pounds. And honestly, since sprinting and things, I put a few back on, like in muscle and probably some bone and things like that. So my story is not a weight loss story. Like that's not it. It's a mental health story. It's a story of a woman who's middle-aged and the second half of my life is going to be better than the first. Because I feel like every day I'm getting healthier. I feel like we're told, okay, when you hit whatever age you want to say, I've heard some people say it's 30. I've heard some people say after 30, you're just going downhill, you know?
I felt like I was.
And I felt like I was too. And I agreed with all of that. Like I totally felt that was happening. I had arthritis in not that hand, this hand. My right knee would swell and complain if I tried to do any exercise. My feet would swell up, you know, every day, and ankles and stuff. And I had no energy, no zest for life. I barely could make it to work and home, and I would sit on the couch for the whole rest of the night, go to bed and then do it all again. I was just like dragging myself through life, looking forward to the next time I could sleep. But then sleep was never restorative, right? Like I'd sleep, but then I wake up feeling just as exhausted, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, all of that. And then I did a complete 180, right? Here I am sleeping for 6 to 8 hours, but like a rock, like a log. And then waking up feeling like, let's go, what's next? Instead of waking up going, oh my gosh, I have X many hours till I can sleep again. And I wish I could sleep right now. Now I'm like ready for my day. And I look forward to things. My younger son plays, for example, in the high school band. So I was at every high school football game for the whole fall, and I was like excited about it. Like that's weird for me. And so just stuff like that, right? It's like so it's like the second half of my life, like I'm getting better and not the other way around. And like I said, I'm 48. Like I'm 2 years from 50. I know you just turned 50. So happy
just turned 50.
I know you did. And so, but I feel like I'm getting only better now. And I'm able to be a better teacher, a better mom, a better wife, just a better human. But people aren't going to know that, right? They're going to look at me 15 years ago and say, you know, she was healthy. They're going to look at me 10 and 5 years ago and say she was healthy because I was thin. And I could put on a facade like nobody's business, right? You have to when you're a teacher. You can't come to work looking all sad. And so if I don't talk about it, if I don't put it out there and tell it, people aren't going to know because you can't tell from looking at the outside. And so that's why I started the channel. From there, it's grown. I feel like I really enjoy collaborating with others. So I started reaching out to people just to try to get to know the community better, and just doing a few like collaborations and getting on other people's live streams and things. And now it's like, okay, who can I collaborate with next? Who can I meet next? What? Who am I? I want to meet new people, Cammie. Did you hear what I just said? The queen of the introverts wants to get out there and start doing collaborations with people. So I have a video premiering, I think on the 16th, where I collaborated with another channel, and she's teaching me how to make Kelly Hogan's like oopsie cake, but like cupcake versions and like with some tricks that she did. So she's teaching me how to do that. And the next time I'm going to teach her how to make a no-bake carnivore cheesecake, stuff like that. You know, I didn't know I'd be cooking on YouTube. Like I'm not trained in that, but you know, people want to see how we eat. They want to see what foods we include, don't include, you know, how do we handle holidays? How do we handle, like the dessert thing was because of that. Like Christmas is kind of a big deal at my house. And I didn't do any kind of dessert. I didn't make a dessert for Thanksgiving. My aunt ended up making a keto cheesecake, which was very nice of her to accommodate my mom and myself. But anyway, Christmas, I thought, what can I, you know, is there something I can find, you know, that I can incorporate that's not going to take me off plan? And so I thought, well, let's do this. And then let's share it with other people because maybe they're interested in that and they don't know what to do or whatever.
Well, there are going to be people that are thin and unhealthy, and they're going to wonder if carnivore will work for them too. They can find you and see, yeah, you don't have to be super overweight to want to try this.
Right. I mean, I went in for the weight loss. That's not why I stay in at all. Not at all. It's all the other stuff. And the comments that I'm getting, I did print some off.
Okay, yeah. I wanted you to tell us, what are some things people are saying to you? How has your channel and your sharing affected the world?
Yeah. So my latest, and there's comments from other videos. I just didn't have time to go print them. The ones that affect me the most are the ones that say, I've had someone tell me, like, you could be describing me. And I'm like, really? Because I thought I was the only one. I thought I was alone and I was experiencing all this stuff. And, and they're like, literally down to like the fact that they're a teacher and I'm a teacher, and like the anxiety and the low energy and the food obsession and the counting and all of that. I mean, it's just, that one was amazing. It was on a different video, but I had someone tell me just yesterday, I have experienced everything you said, like capitalize everything you said. Short and sweet, but I'm like, that right there is why I keep putting the videos out there. One person said, the vast majority of the mental health experts I work with are vegan. Carnivore has cured my anxiety and even my heart palpitations are gone.
That's awesome.
Like, what? I love those kind of comments because it's like, they're sharing, their victories with me. New subscriber here. I have done really well with dairy, meat, seafood, pickles, and olives. Also an occasional avocado. I just love this way of eating so much. Like, that's a ketovore. Good for her. Like, I advocate the proper human diet, and good for that person. Hooray for, this was you. Hooray for food freedom, right? You said that. You're on here. So yeah, like food freedom. I never even heard the term food freedom until this way of eating. And I have it now because my definition of that is I'm not craving for things I shouldn't have. I'm not having to self-control. I'm not having to spend my time self-controlling my, desire for things that I know are not healthy. It's just not there anymore, and then like the things that I should be eating, that's what I want to eat. And then I don't have to count anything. I just, when I'm hungry, that looks good, I eat it and I stop and I don't have to worry about it anymore, or I just don't worry about it anymore. I had someone say, great update, gaining a little, I don't know, the grammar wasn't exactly correct, but gaining a little weight, probably some muscle mass from the sprinting and other exercise, nothing to fear. And then in parentheses, he put, but you know that. I'm like, yeah, I do know that. Because I had talked about that I'd gained a few pounds, but it's fine. I'm amazed at how amazing you carnivores look. Your skin glows and you're so, he said a different word, but I'm gonna say you're so darn happy. I'm like, that's right. We all have the carnivore glow. Yeah. We're in a good mood most of the time. That's not to say life is any easier. Like, my circumstances aren't different, but the way I react to those circumstances sure is, Yeah,
I get comments on my skin that I have good looking skin. I'm like, okay.
Exactly. You can see it on somebody. I am 6 month, 1 week carnivore and down 30 pounds and feeling so much better. All my pains are gone. So it's just, somebody else resonated with my lean mass hyperresponders part of my story. So I'm a lean mass hyperresponder at 62 years old. LDL is 364. I don't even think about it anymore. The new study proves us correct. The lifestyle is so simple and I feel so good. Body transformation is amazing. I ran 10 miles yesterday, ate a pound of hamburger, and then it keeps going, but I didn't like expand it before I printed it, So it's just like that, just over and over. Like, I won't keep reading, but it's like that, right? Like over and over and over. And the fact that they take a minute out of their day, to come in and share that with me, I really do try to respond or, to as many comments. If somebody has a question, I do my best to answer it or point them to the expert that, that can answer it way tons better than I can.
Okay. We just have a few more comments. Let's just go through them and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see. I'm 60 and my dad was strict as heck and on lack of concentration, failure to make eye contact. So no pen clicking or open mouth chewing in our house. And
Well,
then
we weren't allowed to chew with our mouths open either.
yeah, and then she responded, Sandra, I can get down with the open mouth chewing thing. That to me is worse than nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. Actually, bad manners. You don't chew with your mouth open. I can remember my mom saying that to me.
Yeah. Then my husband had a question. Did you have any expenses in your sprinting challenge?
So I did not. If you know that I used a Fitbit. You don't have to use a Fitbit. Like someone even said, you could probably just count. I'm like, you could totally go 1,000, 1,000,
Yeah.
you know, in your head. I just have my timer. And then once I did it so many times, I honestly don't wear it anymore. Because now I know about how far it is. Now, after a couple weeks, I might, because I am getting faster, you know, I might take it out there again and see. So if you didn't have a tool like that, somebody else told me something cool, and I haven't done this yet, but like there's an app, like a free app, that's like a random like number generator, and you can set it and it'll, so like it generates for them like 10 seconds or 30 seconds or 20 seconds. So you hit the button and then you don't look at it, but it'll like time you.
Oh, okay.
And then you go until it stops, but you like throw it so you don't plan ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm like, that sounds kind of cool. Like a kind of a cool way to sort of switch up your
a random number generator, and you set the parameters. Like it's not going to go to like
right. It's not going to say sprint for an hour. Like some, I don't know. He didn't say the exact. He might have said, and I probably didn't write it down. Also, he's an iPhone. I'm an Android, but anyway, I want to try to find something like that because I think that would bring in a fun thing. But no, you have to have shoes. So if you don't own, you know, shoes that you can run in, that would be an expense. I already had some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. I think that there's just a lot of teasing. I think that's it. Well, thank you so much. I'm okay. I enjoyed that. I did not have a panic attack or anything. I survived.
Put in the chat how awesome Cammie did on the very first interview. Was it your very first live?
It's my very first live. Well, no, I did a live from when my husband and I did Santa.
Okay.
Just on my phone, but like through StreamYard, and this is my first live.
First live-ish and first time interviewing anybody. And I got to be it. So I am forever part of your journey. And I'm so
much. Okay, so I just hit end stream and we're done, right?
Yeah, you hit end stream and then we can sit looking awkwardly because it takes about 5 or 10 seconds.
All right, so start your awkward stare. Thank you. Anybody that came and watched, thank you.
Bye everybody.
1, 2.